We are back. This is Mike Cernovich from Danger and Play and Gorilla Mindset here to answer another reader question. Mike, how do I build an audience? How do I build an audience? That's what everyone wants to know, and the short answer is boring, and then we'll get into the longer answer. The short answer is the same answer I got like years ago. When I was saying college, I thought, maybe one day I'll write a book. I'd like to write a book. I'm going to learn how to write a book. I read all these books on writing, and I read Stephen King's book. I think it's called On Writing. I read On Writing Well, and Stephen King said, well, if you want to be a writer, you write every day. Because if you don't write every day, you're not a writer. If you do write every day, you are a writer, even if you're not published, right? And I thought, wow, because when you're younger, you don't want to hear shit like that. You don't want to hear that you're going to be obscure, and then you just better pay your dues, and you just better grind away where nobody knows you, right? Because you're younger, you want attention. That's the funny thing is, now I get fucking more attention than I want, but when you're younger, you're like, man, notice me, notice me, notice me. And then you get fuck like me, you're just like, oh man, you're like, God, dude, I want to be a little more obscure now. But you have to work every fucking day, guys. I don't know what your business is or what you want an audience in. If you want an audience doing what I do, you see how I work. You see how I produce content. I'm always on, man. I am always producing content. I work my ass off every fucking day. Even when I'm not working, I'm thinking about, okay, well, for example, I was at the museum the other day and I read about a French Impressionist artist, Cézanne, and how his earlier work was rejected. And I thought, I should write about that, or write about Van Gogh's mental health problems. I'm in a museum and I'm thinking about content, right? Or I'm at the museum and I'm thinking about shit. All the time, guys. Do you work harder than Joe Rogan? And that's kind of what I ask myself sometimes. That guy, what is he? Fuck, I don't know how old he is. He's been around forever. He's still relevant. That fucking guy works hard. The UFC shit, the travel shit, plus fuck all the E-fame I got. He's got real fame. He's got motherfuckers trying to get at him every time, pitching him bullshit business ideas. I can imagine what that's like. And he's still at it, right? Because he's always working, doing jokes, pitching jokes. And that's another way to build your audience, guys. You have to just be a fucking content machine. Look at my Twitter. How do I decide what to write about? I'm always just boom, 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 hitting it hard, and I kind of find out what resonates all the time. Now, a lot of people say, well, Mike, you do this for a living, and da-da-da. Well, okay, if you have an hour, go hard for an hour. If you have half an hour, go hard for half an hour. But I see so many guys like, yeah, I got a podcast. And then you go to their page and they have like 5 podcasts. No, you don't have a podcast. You have a hobby. You don't have a podcast. You're dicking around. You don't have a website if you're not working on it all the time. If your website looks like shit, even when you're not writing stuff, you should be changing the design, making it look good. If you're not doing it right, then you don't have it. It's like saying, well, I want to be a writer. Did you write today? Well, I couldn't think of anything to write, and, there was a TV show to watch, and I'm hungover from last night, and, got in a fight with my mom, and, the parents cut off my credit card, and, my wife's a bitch, and, you got 100 reasons why you can't do what you want to do, and that's fine. You're going to do what you're going to do. Obviously, you're not following the lifestyle principles of Gorilla Mindset. You won't have those problems, but you got to fucking show up every day, and you got to put the work in, and you got to be prepared for obscurity. And what I'll tell you about that is enjoy the obscurity, because a lot of you guys, and this is typical, we all want it now, right? We want instant results. We want a weight loss pill. We want magic. But if I gave you my social media, your brain would melt. If I gave you my website for a day, you would rip people off. You'd say, well, look at this big audience, I'm just going to cheat everybody. And, well, you wouldn't say cheat it, but let me sell, right? Because I go to some of your websites and it looks like a fucking used car lot. And I'm like, what is this? You have 10 pop-ups and you can't even read some of these websites on mobile because there's so many different pop-ups and this and that, and everything is like sell. It looks like a car lot. That isn't credible. So if you even had a big audience, you would betray them and you would lose it anyway. So enjoy the obscurity. But yeah, recognize that if you're building an audience, you're fucking obscure. And recognize, too, that if you want to get bigger, you got to work your way up the food chain. I'll have guys say, well, why don't you link to my article? I'll link to you, this. It's like, well, I appreciate the links, guys, but if you think it's a quid pro quo, it's just not. So if my traffic gets 20 times what you get, you got to link to me 20 times. 20 times, right? If you're thinking quid pro quo, which I encourage you not to think of. You need to just think of, I need to give value and goodwill to people every day, right? That's how you make a name. Just every day, how much can I give today? How many lives can I touch? That's how you have to think. But if you want to use that very calculating Machiavellian 48 laws of power bullshit, okay, dude, like, if you think I'm a link to you, you better link to me 20 times, right? Or here's what I think is kind of funny. So guys write about, like, they're so alpha, I'm a super alpha male, and I'm just a master at, like, human relations and dynamics. Mike, link to me. I don't know, write a book review of Gorilla Mindset, you know? Sometimes you're like, you fucking idiots, you know? Like, if you want to use me, be smart about it, right? If you want to manipulate people, and that's the way you go through life, you think you're, like, again, these guys, they read the 48 laws of power, they think they understand life. Well, if you write an article, you know, 5 things I learned from Gorilla Mindset, and then you wrote another article, 5 reasons I'm the coolest alpha male guy who ever lived, well, which one am I more likely to link to, right? So manipulate me in, like, a good way, right? Because you know so much, you're so alpha, you know everything about the world, so you know, I hear this stuff, and it's kind of like, that's why sometimes I see cranky, but I'm really not. It's just sort of like, when I link to people, I don't email them and say, well, I linked to you, you should be linking to me, you know? What's your problem, man? One guy said, did you have a problem with me? Man, I linked to your site and you haven't linked to me. Like, what's up with that? I'm thinking, I don't have a problem with you. I don't even care. I don't care enough to have a problem with you. But that isn't the right mentality. You have to think, well, I got to put my work in. And if you are thinking that calculated way, you got to work your way up. You know, you're at the bottom. That's just reality. I started off at the bottom. I didn't have TV. I didn't have, like, a big breakthrough. Right? If you follow my arc, a lot of people are like, well, I just heard about Mike a year ago. He just got big a year ago. No, like, my arc has been very, very slowly progressing. A lot of people just hadn't heard of me because we were in different niches, right? But I've been grinding away 15 years maybe, at least. I've been on the internet. You can probably find my earliest writing online under my name, probably 2003. Before that, I was posting on web boards and internet message boards and email listservs and web forums. And that's what you got to do. So find forums that are of interest to you, and even if you don't post in the forums, and I think you should, cut your teeth on those questions. So you think to yourself, well, I can't write as much as Mike does, I don't know what to write about. Great, go to a forum of people that you want to read your site. So say you're a man and you want men aged, 18 to 35, and that's another thing too about building your audience. Nobody is for everybody. My website is not for all men. It is even for all alpha males, or all this, or all that. It's not all for anybody. It's all, you're going to be very niche. My niche, and of course you're going to get people outside of this. I have a lot of women readers, you know, but my niche is generally like people who were like me when I was younger. If I was younger and you told me something would work, I would try it. And if it worked, then, like, I'm converted. Like, okay, like, it works, I'll listen to this guy. It doesn't mean I would blindly follow that person, but it means, okay, like, there's something here, you know, you got my attention, because I'll try it. I'll take action immediately. So who do I write for? People who will take action immediately. And that's why the criticisms of Gorilla Mindset, like, well, he doesn't take, 300 pages to develop the ideas and most of these other books. Yeah, because you're not my audience. You know, you want to be lied to, or you want to feel like you're taking action by reading a book. Reading a book isn't taking action. Reading a book is telling you how to take action. So that's why when you get into Gorilla Mindset, it's just like boom, 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 do this, try this. If it doesn't work, try this. It's all like that because that's who I write for. So you have to think, well, who do you want to write for? Maybe you want to write for the self-help crowd, which is cool. There's nothing wrong with that crowd. Maybe that's who you want to write for. But if you are, you need to find those forums, answer the questions. So I'm doing videos all the time. Why don't you just go to a web forum that have people that you want reading your site, and every day write and answer their questions. I read on the such and such forum that people want to know, I don't know, what the best wine is in France. I don't know what the fuck people are asking. And then answer that. Because the people who are asking those questions on forums, they're also going to Google, right? How to do this. How do I do this? How do I do this? How do I know for this? You know, one of my biggest posts on Danger Player, like hair loss for men. You know, how do you know if you're going bald, and what do you do if you're going bald? It was just kind of, you know, it's an issue men have. You know, you lose your hair, you feel insecure about it. What does a hairline look like? So I get fucking views on that all the time because that is an issue that men have. So just think about that. So you want to build your audience, be prepared to be obscure. If you want to be a master manipulator, Machiavellian, then play the game a lot smarter, because the people who try to play those games on me, like, I see right through what people are trying to do. So if you're going to manipulate me, manipulate me in an intelligent way, right? I'm okay with being manipulated. I mean, if I know that you only wrote a review of Gorilla Mindset because you wanted me to link to it, I don't care, so what? You're trying to use me, but it's all good. But this like subtle manipulation bullshit, it's just not going to work. Also, again, find out who you want reading your site. Who do you want your audience to be? And stop fucking saying everyone. God damn it. That's why I don't talk to people anymore. They're like, well, my book is for every man. No, it's not. It isn't. No book is for every man or every woman or even every handicapped man or every beautiful woman or every ugly man or every hot man. It just doesn't work that way. So you need to think, who do I want my audience to be? And then find out, well, where is that audience? Who has that audience now? How can I find that audience, right? Find those forums. Either post on the forums and don't just link to your stuff because that'll blow up in your face too. That isn't very intelligent manipulation. If you want to manipulate people, you go to their forums and you add value and goodwill of the forum, and then you're a value member of the forum, and you chill out. There's a lot of guys that get kicked off forums, right? Because they try to manipulate people, then they make that short-term cash grab. I'm not going to name any names, but you can think of a couple guys like that. So yeah, think of your audience, find them, and then answer questions that your audience have. And then ask yourself, are you working as hard as Joe Rogan? I work pretty hard. I don't know if I can say, yeah, I'm getting there. I'm definitely thinking I have to work harder than I do, and I already work pretty hard. So if you don't work as hard as Joe Rogan, are you working as hard as I am? I'm at this shit every day. You find me on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube. You can find my podcast. You can find my book at Amazon. 2 books now, the Juicing Book and Gorilla Mindset. I got videos, right? I fucking work hard. Are you working as hard as me? If not, you're not going to build an audience. You got to put the work in every day. So that's my advice. Kind of boring. But like Stephen King said, if you ain't writing, you ain't a writer. He didn't quite say it that way, but it's the same thing. If you're not working on creating content, then you're never going to build an audience. All right, thanks for the question. I don't know what day we're on, day 4, something like that, but post your questions below, post your comments below, and like and share this video. And until next time, this is Mike from Gorilla Mindsets.